Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The TNN TV media empire is live, and this is an unusual broadcast in terms of being live because interactively we are live. Tonight, today, this afternoon, this morning, I'm coming live to you from a different location altogether. Not different from the United Kingdom because that's where I am, but as in our usual comfort of a studio. Today, I'm in Essex, and this is the CHERNOH show, the African Express show. This is the frontline show, so designed, so named by Mr. CHERNOH Alpha Emba himself. Unfortunately, there have been difficulties, technically speaking, in terms of going live. So therefore, I have to appear on the show. But notwithstanding, all said and done, it's no strange because even as I speak, Mr. CHERNOH Alpha Emba is on the live feed as we speak. But this is his show, and I will cede the show to him. CHERNOH, good evening, good afternoon. How you do, me brother? Sorry.
You don't already pause. Okay, I think we all lost.
Yeah, we were hearing from you. Are going to hear from you anyway. So welcome to the program, my brother. The show is yours. This is the Frontline Show, and over to you, CHERNOH.
Yeah, thank you very much. Always with a come on this show in a different with a different style. Today, this is the same frontline show, and I see we get PK, Mr. Chroma on the streets of. Who say this one? London? Which part of London you this one?
I'm outside of London. I'm in Essex, a place called
Oh,
Essex, England. It's in the countryside where they play a lot of golf. And for yeah, the benefit of all you want the way they watch and we get for watch now, have a view. This is countryside England, and this is posh. This is big time. This is huge, So this is exactly where I am, and we are having yeah, like a wedding and a wedding program for a little sister. So as a family, we be all get for turn up. So my apologies, but notwithstanding, I'm having a great time. So Mr. Ba, with regard to your question, sir, I'm in Essex in England.
how far is Essex from London?
It's not too far away. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, yeah, journey, a drive. An hour and 20 minutes. But it's proper countryside, as you can see, the trees. And beyond these trees, you get people away, the golfer there, it's man and like golfing. So there's a lot of golf courses beyond these trees than where you see. But also, you get these refreshment centers where they can allow you for whole week programs them. And one such program today is a wedding program which I've been fortunate to attend.
Tell us more about the wedding program. Well, while would they allow Fambule for share the link today? Now you have the interview for us. You could tell me.
Well, very clever of you, but this does not come as a surprise because, after all, this is CHERNOH, the phenomenal CHERNOH of the African Express. So the wedding that we've attended today, as you can see, you got brothers, you got sisters, and the cars that make the length and breadth of the car park are that of brothers and sisters, and many others will not make up the wedding. And if you can look at the far end, and this is not just one course, it's a golf course. And there are many others like this. It's a vast expanse of an area. Back to the wedding in terms of the question where you asked me, it's been fantastic. Yesterday, me and my wife, my family, we drove out of London and then we came into Essex. We lodged just for this wedding. And we had a traditional wedding yesterday. And you're not posting traditional, I believe you are. Go understand the traditionality in terms of wedding. We had a phenomenal traditional wedding. Today, now the white wedding, so we kind of the white side, you have the English golf course where you get a lake, and then you get how you call them drones, taking pictures from above, and then you get a court and a lawn, yeah, a well mowed lawn and grass. I am away from there now, but this is not just the car parking. You can see well kept, your gardens and flowers, well trimmed, and etc. And maybe you go see a few of us, people that we attend. And if you look at the far end, these are sisters and brothers, just they come out, and it's well to do. But back again to the wedding. This is not the wedding of the daughter of my sister, Mrs. Josephine Mara. She's called Marie Mara, Cynthia Mara. She's getting married today. She got married today because obviously it's a past tense. She's got married in a beautiful wedding ceremony. The weather, as usual, in London was great because normally the weather in London, it can be challenging. London, now one of the places them where you they see 3, 4 different weather the same day. They see winter, summer, and you name it, all the 4 different weather them. You they see them in one day. But today the weather was phenomenal, so we had a beautiful wedding. The bride and the groom were well to do, well dressed, and all the biblical verses them, the Quranic verses them regarding wedding were read. The introduction of man and wife, and two becoming one in flesh, Ecclesiastes, the book of Matthew, which talks about, whatever God has put together, let no man put asunder, was well read by the pastor. The pastor was phenomenal. He was brilliant. And he offered a word of caution to every one of us, those, both them one that we don't marry, them one that we not married yet. And we all drew a word of inspiration from the wedding. Went on as usual. The vows were said. There were no interruptions. The rings were exchanged, showing a covenant between man and wife. And everybody took their vows. And that wedding has ended. Now the reception now 9 Palm. And then we get for host the phenomenal CHERNOH. And here we are, sir, hosting CHERNOH from a car park.
Okay, thank you very much. Make I let you may go now. Make I take
Thank
charge
you
of
very much.
at least you don't help people warm up. We don't get a side attraction. That's now we call side attraction for people away familiar with clubbing and all that. Thank you, Mr. Chroma, and good
No
luck.
worries at all, sir. It's
Enjoy
a
your
great
wedding.
pleasure, and I'll be watching the program from the
Yeah,
sidelines
yeah.
and will interject when necessary. How long you program they run for CHERNOH?
Well, it depends on how my audience, but I plan this time for make them very short because I just want to forget a couple, 1 or 2 messages, 1 or 2 words of words out. One message only. Make us say a simple message out as far as the situation in Sierra Leone is concerned. I will be talking about corruption, voter registration, and corruption, or corruption in the voter registration process. And this is an ongoing conversation. I mean, I hope say before today we've done get a publication out on the procurement, the corruption surrounding the procurement of computers and voter registration software
I think it's
by the
still
Electoral
yesterday.
Commission of Sierra
Is it?
Leone. We don't mention
Okay.
on the previous occasion, but unfortunately, we not still complete the story in the sense that we still try for get a reaction from the international company with a subcontract for 3 times lower or lesser or almost 4 times less than the actual budgeted amount that we've seen in the Electoral Commission records.
Okay. No
Uh,
worries at all. No worries at all,
so
Mr.
I'm
Ba.
just hoping
I
that
will let you.
provide the
Sorry.
conversation, move the conversation a little bit, get a couple of a message out about updates regarding the voter registration as we observe them, and then take them from there. So I go call on people who are already part of this conversation for please share the link, invite a couple of people or whosoever that's available for the conversation, make them come and make we just get this going. I intend to speak for 30 minutes or maybe at most 45 minutes, less than an hour today, for bring we up to speed to where we are, what we've observed. We don't do 7 days now at least since the start of the registration process. Today is the 10th day of September. We start the registration on the 3rd of September, and we don't observe, and we don't get a couple of incidental reports So I want to share my own experiences. This is going to be today a monologue of the Frontline show. I intend to hold this show every Saturday around the same time as we dey move. Maybe in the winter, as the cold is setting and with the time the clock the change, we go change the time a little bit. But it's our intention to have this conversation ongoing continuously on the Frontline show as we go into the elections. Me, now a regular host now. Okay, Mr. Kuma, if you allow me now we go, or you mute your own side so that we go able to just go ahead now. Yeah.
Just for say something quickly. Of course, I'm going to let you go. And many thanks. I want to express my thanks and gratitude to you that despite the difficulty, the conversation with the Sierra Leonean public has to go on. So you intend for carry on between 30, 45 minutes, depending on how the show go. But
Yeah.
I will be watching from the background. I can say right now we get something like 19:15. In other words, quarter past whatever you get on your side. So 30 minutes from now, which will make them 45 minutes from the time, we will see how it's going because I'll be monitoring. Then I will come with you and join and see whether you want to close the program or not. The program is all yours, sir. Many thanks and my apologies for the disturbance.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Then and Now for providing us this platform. As we speak right now, we notice there's an increase in effort on the part of the government of Sierra Leone and their allies, both in civil society, in the media, and in among certain sectors of the opposition to also prevent. Uh, Mr. Toma, we still get background noise from you. Thank you. On the a significant sector of the opposition um, is opposed to they are opposed to some of the things that we say or the information that we've been sharing, to the extent that there is an ongoing effort for silence information coming from myself and other people who have come to understand the level of state capture in Sierra Leone. And if I remember this, it started in April. We noticed in April when it became obvious that with the moving to the elections now, first and foremost, there were background efforts by the government of Sierra Leone and their hidden agents in the opposition and other interest groups in the country for cover up the corruption that we've been, unearthing against the BO administration, the frivolous loot of the national treasury and all of that. That's not news again. You just need to go to the African Express website for see the evidence of corruption that we've produced. For the first time in the history of the country, we might say proudly, you were able to see real-time evidence of government financial operations. We include not just regular transactions, irregular transactions of government, the loot of public wealth. So we don't able to bring that, and we committed for bring that one day continuously as we go into the elections. There has been a shift in the African Express approach to the corruption since we will say May, because we started looking at political corruption when it became obvious that state capture don't take root in the country, to the extent that you get opposition politicians that we tie up a bargain for give Madabu a second term. It became obvious to us by December that the nature of the scandalous way in which the government don't run, it would be difficult for Madabu to get a second term on a free and fair competition. In fact, it become much more difficult for the government as we go closer to the elections. And we know say now not only difficult but impossible under the circumstances. As the Bible phrase will say, it has become much more easier today to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than it will be to get BO elected on a free and fair election for a second term. And the government are aware of this. And part of some of these, what make this thing difficult, now the fact that the government will deliver on its manifesto promise. Every citizen of Sierra Leone today can say how we have been variously affected by the levels of corruption and bad governance in the country, the erosion of democratic values, the violation of free speech. But what will make the situation much more different today than we experienced in any other time in a saloon Now, the fact that we don't get opposition really, there has not been a real organized opposition to what is happening in the country. In fact, there is an opposition, greater opposition complicity in what is happening. And for we, when we begin to talk about bad governance and corruption at Sierra Leone, for me, over the last 20 years, I noticed a difference. In the past, even though you may get individual politicians and journalists and civil society activists who become entangled with government, the lines were clear. Those who are for government were clear. Those who are supposedly against government were also clear. We knew them. Now we don't go to a point where the lines have been collapsed. It don't become so difficult to distinguish between opposition and non-opposition groups. That is not to say they are not opposition politicians, opposition groups in the country. But if you want to know the difference in political parties, for example, if you take APC as an example, just look all the politicians, the way Madabio and Yun supporters, and even to a large extent, APC people, and they're accused of corruption or they harass. That is how you know, or who they are calling terrorists. And those who are not a threat to the government, who are friends of the government. This is now how you're able to differentiate and distinguish between who is an opposition politician and who is not. So today's conversation, that will be a different conversation. And I want to take the conversation today from Usai and what I say stopped last week. Usai will be talk about state capture, the elections, voter registration, and all of that, which is the conversation that's on floor. For the last 7 days, we don't observe a number of things, but most importantly, we don't observe voter registration in Freetown and in other parts of the country. Before the registration process, we knew that there was an effort on the part of the government for rigged election, which is obvious, for rogue and thief the election. And we me particularly the only way we might be able to get a second term now through the rigging of the election. And it will only able for rig the election if the opposition parties then assist them for rig the election. And the only way where the opposition parties go also able for assistance for rig the election, you get forget opposition candidates we willing for allow for get a second term. And for make you do that, we say you get two basic technique or strategy, or the strategy involve two basic things. One is candidate exclusion, and the other one now voter suppression. In fact, these two words we'll proudly say now we introduce them right now. If you hear people in the tweet now or go talk about voter suppression, now we introduce the terminology really. And part of the reason why we introduce them, because in studying political science and elections, or observing it in different parts of the African environment and other parts of the world, these are methods where we know how draconian regimes or plainly authoritarian regimes where the pretended and democratic don't they apply. And it's more so common in French countries than it is becoming common in Anglophone or English-speaking countries in Africa. What we used to in election rigging, now we say government can change the results. Now the ballot box, then thief the election, exchange, nullify ballot boxes, nullify votes. But now government don't become aware, say it's more difficult nowadays with more increased surveillance of the electoral process, especially the voting process, the polling stations with effective policing of the ballot, security of the ballot, security of the vote. It don't become difficult now for make government able for thief election during the day of the voting. So most criminal regimes, then they try for and rogue leaders and rogue politicians, and they try for thief the election ahead of the day of the election. That way they can predict that they will be able to determine the outcome of an election. When you rig an election, you get able for determine the outcome of the election. So, but also for to steal an election is more difficult than stealing money. You don't understand. And for thief election, it's difficult pass for thief money, because for thief election, it involves a huge number of things. You have to be very clever for making thief election. They're not able noticing a thief. For the most part, it's going to be obvious. And because you require so much and so many institutions and collaboration, organization for make able deploy am. And people away the thief election, they got to be very astute political leaders. And in the case of we current group of people in power, they are not that very much intelligent to steal an election. So they require other people for think for them. And actually, basically, Madabio will not be able to steal the current election if other politicians with more criminal passer, they not assist her how for thief the election. Because for require high thinking. And we could proudly say, or upfront say, he has found that alliance in Parliament, in the Parliament of Sierra Leone. So they don't then develop the mechanism and the institutional approach for determining the outcome of the elections in favor of Madabio. That is what the opposition politicians in Parliament have tried to do. And that's not the current fight that we've been fighting. And this is something that most of you who support the APC or who are aware of this, or who are not aware of this, or who support some of these politicians in Parliament do not want to talk about. But at the reality. So this don't take a number of things. We could talk about why some of the politicians in the opposition want to do this. We don't talk about and in audios and different things. And I don't want to spend this time for talk more. I just want to summarize within these 7 days what don't happen in terms of registration. Don't tell we. Number one, we know say way back in June, effectively June 20, the Parliament of Sierra Leone start a process for discussing and called the Public Elections Bill of 2022, which means they try to bring in a law, way for govern, way for change how the laws the way we conduct election. I remember that. On the side of the African Express, we knew way back in April that they were trying to develop this process. By May, towards the end of May, we know say the printed documents have been lodged in Parliament. Some of the APC people away, they're part of this arrangement. We are aware, including Parliament. In fact, if we left to them, not be one make the public know. Just like any other agreements and other dangerous laws away in the past, they can just pass us. So not be one make people know. They never made it public until we brought it to the public knowledge. And this not to just one political party, the NGC in Parliament, the C4C in Parliament, and the APC in Parliament. They were all aware that this law was going to be placed before Parliament. In fact, June 20, then start for discourse. By that time, on the 15th of June, Madabio had left the country, gone out of the country while this chaos they happened. And when I remember, and around this same time, they introduced all kind of distraction, all kind of conversations. From them, on drama, them, social media, from China, Nikki, to all of that. And I remember, to the LAC dramas, to all of this, right up to where this police arrest, police brutality, the arrest of musicians. That was the conversation. And all of us were enraged. We all been vexed and the vexed by Sovula. What we did not know was what was happening in the background, what the politicians were doing. While everybody were concerned about human rights and violence and justice and democracy was focused on the question of how to protect the citizens and protect democracy. The politicians were sitting and trying to scheme a way for give Madabio a second term. That was what the Public Elections Bill was about. If I remember, since we bring down it to public knowledge from June 22nd, we noticed a reduction in the level of distractions, although there were distractions. But then parliamentarians came out and began the challenge. We say, no, they had no intention to suppress voters. Some of them even began hold Tamatiscope meeting there all over the place. But still, we knew they were pretending, they were lying, basically. So, like we call on Una all, the whole world, Sierra Leone, and say, pay attention, help us to pay attention to Parliament. Now watch Parliament. They want to sell the democracy. They want to arrange for make Madabio get second term. They don't agree. In fact, the bill, it did to the benefit of both, like a covenant, so all of them get a shared interest. And some of them want to give Madabio a second term because some of these politicians in Parliament have their own future political ambition to be president, which is not a bad thing. Every citizen get right for aspire for be anything in the world. Every human being get big dreams, want to be anything you can want to be. It's a good giving thing. But what we are saying is that you cannot scheme and pursue your own individual interests at the detriment of a whole country and the stability of a country. That's what we are against. So we talk, say, part of what that bill was going to do was to allow Bill to get a second term, and then with the understanding that some of the opposition elements will take over after him in 2028, then deny. I would say part of the reason now because if they pass that law, it will also prevent opposition supporters mostly from being able to register and vote, because the bill or the law will carry the law for make the NCRA, the National Civil Registration Authority, be involved in the organization of elections, especially the registration of voters. We talk say that they can make a compulsory thing for make anybody who want for register for first produce the national identification number, which means if you not register with NCRA, you not get that number, it will be difficult for you for register for vote. The MPs then say, yes, then have not agree. They think it's a bad thing. And for make them make that into law, then they have change the constitution. So for the first time, most people attest to it saying that the first time we're able to observe how parliament they operate. We watch parliament from June 20 right up to July 27, over a month or nearly 2 months. Parliament try any kind of way for pass the law. They're not able them talk until they watch when they read the law line by line, they give commentary. Finally, then decide say this is not go possible. We're not going to rogue the people in front of their eyes. So they abandon the law. Then announce it, they don't pass the Public Elections Act, but all the dangerous provisions under the law, they don't pull up. They don't remove it, including the NIN. Some of them even Twitter. When I go to their Twitter account, some of our MPs and tweet about it. To the extent that they begin to take praise all, they say, not to we first, then and then be one for do that. We say, okay, what do we want? Not just a free and fair election. If Madabio believes, say, he's popular, he has delivered on his mandate, he has done everything good, he's a democratic leader, progressive leader, Sierra Leoneans love him, let him allow each and every Sierra Leonean the right to participate in the elections of 2023. Make them not use law or procedure for create difficulties, for prevent Sierra Leonean the way one for vote, for get the opportunity for register and vote. Make them not make law or use the institutions, whether not the police now, not the judiciary now, not any other institution, NCRA or Electoral Commission, for prevent people then we want for TINAP against her, for make it able for TINAP. Basically, the president not for decide for we would have a vote for her, would have a vote next year, and would have not for vote. You know, for also decide would have a contest against her, would have not for contest, because we get multi-party constitution, which means everybody get right for compete and participate in the electoral process, democratic process, according to the laws of the country. So we were told the NIN and all this, I don't forget about. But Parliament, we knew Parliament and parliamentarians will be tie this bargain. They're not happy. What did happen after that? From July 27, by the end of July, we see where they forget about the law by 28th of July, it don't become obvious now. Parliament say they don't kick against. We all say, we're happy. So Tunis, when at the ECOWAS parliamentarian visit Guinea-Bissau after where Parliament became unable to pass the law. Why are they go this? Now these things are distraction, but for telling how we pay attention to some of these things. Met with Embalo, the president of Guinea-Bissau. At the time we were saying, what did this man go to Guinea-Bissau? 1 week after him visit Guinea-Bissau, we begin here to say, they not begin talk about protest, sit at home, strike in a salon. Okay, yeah. Everybody, protest is a democratic right, a constitutional right. Now, so we end up from the 8th to the 10th of 1 week later after the visit of Tunis to Guinea-Bissau, and almost 1 week after where we defeat Parliament and prevent them from pass that dangerous public elections law, we then announce it they not pass it with the NIN, voter suppression. Strike don't happen as saloon. Protests don't happen, violence erupt, police begin kill and arrest people. Who's I? Freetown. Now the north, McKinney, another place then. I didn't know more the strike happened. And if I mean pass the law, the public elections bill, this again have been the areas then who say voters are not able for vote. If the law them in pass western area, outside the protest happen, and all the side now put local, Cambia, Koinadugu, Falaba, Bombali, Makeni, Maburka, Mashingbin, Matotoka, Makali, Tego Mile 91, Tego Bat Kanu, Benemugo, all them villages then they you don't understand. They're not for able for most of the people where they not get NCRA, they not get NACRA, they not get national identification number. If the parliamentarian mean pass the law, we get the national identification number, it means most people within at the north, northwest, and western area will not be able to register last year at the NCRA. We don't get that difficulty. They're not able to register now for vote, but they for require NCRA. And right now, NCRA is not functional. The new contract will then give NCRA for begin give biometric identification card, national ID. Then they start by the end of October 25. That registration supposed for done, because registration according to the calendar, registration for done by October 4. And the contract again was awarded towards the end of March and given to a company that has the vested interest of the president, because Fatima and Madabiona they get almost all the businesses in the country now. That again was awarded without even tender, parliament. Then a different thing. But what are we talking about? There's a relationship between what happened at parliament to the protest that happened at Freetown and other parts of the country to what we experience now. Now, parliament won't pass law. The law not get any objective, not get no reason for bringing in new election law if you not a law way for make it difficult for people to register for vote. The only reason what to make parliamentarian and decide for bring a law way for introduce this way for make the civil registration process and the voter registration process the same. Now because they want for create difficulty for people to not get way for able to freely participate in the election. And the people give them the target again, not to everybody in the country. Now people within areas the way everybody knows say the opposition strong because the country divide. The politics of the country still divide. They divide according to ethnic groups, divide according to region, to geography. Then the reality, we will break out of that one for the last 60 years. It just go worse and worse and worse. So last year when they tried to do the civil registration, most people in Freetown and the north and northwest regions, they're not able to get opportunity for register. They may get few registration centers, few machines, and all of that. Most people in the south and the east side of people get strongholds, they're not going to encounter the same problems. So now we get to a position where we got to learn by the end of May, say Parliament they consider new law on how for register for vote. We already get laws for make election, then laws and they we don't organize election, we don't get problem with registration. People, in fact, first neck 90 work house to house safe. By 1996, when they begin say then they register people, and then they go house to house for register people for participate in elections, because always the people are not interested in election. Abo, we know they vote. So neck they spend beaucoup money by what they call voter sensitization. They enlist civil society organizations, they count television, they educate people and make billboards and banners and posters for make people and go register for vote. Now we got to this point, we said they try for bring law now, not for encourage people and for vote and know how for vote, now for make it difficult. Add more restrictions for make people unable for register for vote. Why? Because the president don't know, say, majority of Sierra Leoneans, if they are given, including first-time voters, young people, we just wake up now with new technology. The young man there, where they in conversation with the world, if they allow them for vote first time, they're not going to vote along ethnic lines, even in certain places. They go vote according to how they understand, how they don't begin to understand the world. Now, those are people that the government want to take out or make it difficult for them to register. And this been inside the law, what we bring out. By June, we been don't know about this since May. We wait for see what in Parliament will do. There was drama all over the place. Police, they arrest this and that, musician, drama, LJ, this, all this. At the background, there was a process to pass a law. We bring the law to the public attention. By June 22nd of June, I can go look at the African Express website, which will be published. They will talk, say, parliamentarians are trying to bring in new laws which will limit people and the opportunity for vote. And then people argue for they mostly that the opposition strongholds, Freetown and the North and Northwest regions, and potentially, probably in CHERNOH. Parliamentarians say no, not to that administration. For themselves hate the NI and they hate NCRA. We get three types of, we get at least four basic type of registers. We go to call a civil register. Civil register, now a register where they take note of every individual in a country. Okay? And now for identity purpose, it can be for passport, for non-residential purposes, for all of that. And the national identification number is a number tied to the civil register. Then we will distinguish between who is a citizen and who is not a citizen. The registration of data. Now, all over the world, then they digitize vital records. We include the civil register. Civil register, like I say, now for identity, for identify people, those who are citizens, who are non-citizens. Civil register can include the record of births, record of everybody who is born in the country, and record of everybody where they die in the country. This now called then include the civil register. It can also include names and record of everybody where reside or where travel can inside the country, the immigration record of the country. This is all part of the civil register. Now, the purpose of a civil register. Now, you get the other kind of register we call the electoral register. The electoral register, now a register for the purposes of an election. It records only individuals in a country who are qualified to vote or to be voted for. The difference between a civil register and an electoral register is completely clear. The civil register is a register of everybody who is born in the country. Everybody who don't die in the country. Everybody who travel can in the country, where they inside the country, where they go out of the country. Immigration record. It include an immigration record of visitors, basically the immigration record, the birth and death record, and also the record of anybody where they in the country. It can even include record of people with driving license and passports and all of that. People who are permanent residents, people who are not permanent residents, people who don't enter, visit, and come on the country. This is the civil purpose of civil registers. Civil registers can be manual, they can be digitized. Now, with increasing technology and societies they grow, every country they try for digitize and record, for create a biometric system of identification. This came about since 9/11. After September 11, the whole world take on the question of biometric registration, because they try to identify people. And now, if you look, even visa business different. First time we they make visa, not just ordinary stamp. Every year, European countries they add new features to them, to securitized printing. You get security printing companies all over the world where they carry on this. So civil registers are for that. It's called vital. They include vital records and other kinds of records of other people. So in some countries, you don't understand, the civil register is controlled by different agencies. In our own country, they created and called the National Civil Registration Authority, NCRA. And now, over the since 2012 to now, there has been an increase in effort for digitize some of these records, including the voter record, but the vote at the country, the voter register. The civil register and the voter register are completely different. Yes, there are people whose names will appear in the civil register, where also the name will appear in another register, like the voter register. The voter register, now the register. In fact, the National Civil Registration Authority in the Sierra Leone context, they under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, supposed to be under, because I saw an immigration department, this National Identity Card Office, they're all under the internal affairs, because they deal with internal security, internal arrangement, immigration, and all of that. Now, way back when we know the one-party rule, in fact, even electoral commission and the internal affairs ministry, they organize elections. And in some French countries, they still get that kind of arrangement where the electoral commission is still under the electoral body, the electoral office is still, the elections office still under the internal affairs office. Now, with increased democratization, we talk about election management, we talk about democratic institutions for being independent. They can be separate units. But way back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and this is true for one party eras, the internal affairs ministries of countries used to organize elections. So in the 1990s, we'll get this new wave, what they call third wave of democratization. There was an increased effort, and these are through UN intervention, international intervention, for the separation of institutions, and they call them democratic institutions. In the case of Sierra Leone, the 1991 constitution provided for the independence of some of these institutions. And now, since 1991, again, from 1996 to now, we'll begin get elections and actual democratic processes now. We don't get secondary laws then now when they develop, also informed by the constitution for strengthening the independence of institutions. Like, for example, we been on to get anti-corruption laws, but we never had an institution that's responsible for anti-corruption. So by 2002, we geared the need for the creation of an anti-corruption institution. 2008, there was a new law strengthening the independence of the institution. Now you don't get more other reforms. We don't take place. So the civil register and the National Civil Registration Authority is under the Internal Affairs Ministry. It's an institution or an arm of the executive branch of government. It's not really an independent entity on its own, so to speak. It's there under the management of a ministry. Then you get the voters register, the electoral register. The electoral register is another type of a national register, and it includes the names and details, the biodata of each and every citizen that is qualified to vote or to be voted for in an election. In America, you get people the way they name them day, na the national register, but they no go day. When a citizens they no go day na the voters register. This will either be minors and people that will not qualify for vote or we know they vote. Because they read this thing, oh, America then get social security. Yes, but the social security register is not the same as the electoral register. Because there are people who are even adults, citizens in America, who are felons. People who have been convicted of certain felonious offenses who are not qualified to be on the electoral register. They cannot vote. So for make you take the two registers, you make them the same in itself, is not only impractical or unusual, that conflation get a huge implication, both for your administrative process and they get legal implication. But before we come to that, I just separate these types of registers. I don't tell una waiting a civil register. I got for now explain to una waiting the voters register and for show the difference between the two. Simple. This, if I make we know them here, because they're not politicians there, the politicians in the country, they thrive on the ignorance of the Sierra Leonean public, the ignorance or the lack of interest in politics. Because we will not get interest in something, we will not go know. Even if we go school, you are only able to know those things that are of interest to you. Or because even if you go to school, if you get interest for being a doctor, you study medicine. If you get interest for being an economist, for being a banker, you study economics and accounting and banking. If you not get interest, if you're a lawyer, you want for to be a lawyer, you study law. How courts and they, how law they, how they. So no matter how you learn book again, if you not get interest for becoming a lawyer, you might not be interested in the law. So you're not going to know about the law. So the same thing, some people in a country not care about politics, they not care about how government they run, even though government activity and political activity, they affect your lives. So we don't go blame people sometimes if they do not know some of these things because it is not within their interest to know. So you go here and talk, say people, even the most educated people cannot know everything. We do not know everything. We have to study, which is why knowledge is an ongoing process that you will appropriate and accumulate every day, just like how they drink water. As long as you're alive, your learning does not stop. No matter how many degrees you have, you always study. You always learn new things. The more you travel, the more you see new things, the more you see new people, the more you encounter new kind of situations. So that is what human life and human progress is about. So we have to explain these things. Now we don't know what in basic terms, civil register, civil registration. In Sierra Leone, we call it NCRA, the NACRA. Now, people in NACRA don't become popular in the last couple of months, more than they were before, even though some people may go there. So the second type of a national register is the voters register. The voter register and the register will include each and everybody will qualify for vote or for be voted for, then they register them. In the case of the civil register and National Civil Registration Authority, in the case of the voter register, and a different institution they run according to your own laws then. They call that institution National Electoral Commission, NEC. Now they don't decide for changing the name to Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, ECSL. Okay? So whether you call it NEC now or ECSL, then your own business now for organize election business. And that election business for register people then we want for vote, we qualify for vote, for make them go able for vote. And for register people again, we want for TINAP as candidate for make them vote for them for going to government office, either in a city council, paramount chieftaincy, or parliament, or for be president. Now then your own business have to run election. And then get record of people that will qualify for vote. People embark, we don't contest election. So then you register, we in the keep, then call an electoral register. Now register for election. Either register for vote or you register for make them vote for you. Either you want to be councillor, you want to be mayor, you want to be honorable member of parliament, you want to be president, or paramount chief, as the case may be. I don't know if they vote for anybody now. Anyway, the elections register or electoral register is different from the civil register. Now that makes it see that two different institutions. So the election management institution, where in this case the National Electoral Commission or the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, is independent. Enough for they under any ministry, even though it receives government funding, you might say, and subject to parliament and parliamentary scrutiny and all of that. But through the 1991 Constitution, it was made to be an independent institution. Now, it's possible for make the people that with the name they na the voter register, made them also they na the civil register. But the two registers, they know they be the same. They combine them. They put them together. The purpose of the electoral register now for the purposes of elections, having only the names of those who are citizens, who have attained the age of 18, who are of sound mind, basically who are qualified to be registered as voters or people who are qualified to be elected into elective offices. They know they get the name of nobody we're not a citizen, we're not qualified for vote. So you see the difference between the two, whereas the civil register will get the names of people who are even not citizens, who are residents of Sierra Leone, especially now we're in the time for introduce ECOWAS identification and stuff like that, including immigration record. When I don't see the difference between the two, there is also another register.
It's not.
We still get the technical help. Yeah, they still get small broadcast noise from me.
Oh yeah, CHERNOH, sorry again, because you've been a broadcast on a 30 minutes, 35 minutes, basis. Well, I did know you can go far beyond that. So I've been just program for tuning at 30, 35 minutes, but I see they go on. So let me just get out of your program again once more. Sorry about this.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Bye-bye.
So the voter register, as we say, we don't also talk about that. There's another type of register. We call it the census or population register. The population register, basically, they call it census or statistics. These are the statistics of people who reside in the country. The civil register, as we're talking, also involve people where they come and go. Immigration data can be inside. Now, the population and housing census register. Then a register of all the people them where they at the country within a given period of time, and also the total number of houses, and including you can get other statistics all each house, whether they get light, they get fridge, household income. Also, they can even calculate on census registers, the National Population and Housing Census Register. The other one for identity purpose, also the civil register, identitarian purposes for identify people. The second one, when the electoral register, now for election purposes, then a political, now for political civic, you don't say now political purpose. Whereas the housing and population census register get for deal with development, largely speaking, because it help for inform government policy in terms of how many old people we get, how many younger people they will get, how many women they will get, whether the woman them boku pass the man then at the country, whether the man them plenty pass. It even account for the poverty bracket in the country, the education bracket in the country. Okay, we'll talk about census, they take all the thing and now a holistic accounting of the total population and houses, the habitation of the country. This is what we call the population or census register. In some countries, census registers are more detailed. They can even go to the point of even give the typology of the environment in terms of more people ending at the rural side, more people ending at the urban side, forest environments. We don't see some of the precision than they. But basically, housing and population census register for informed development policy, public policy. Whereas the voting register, the electoral register, now for elections. The civil registers with the same. Now, so in Sierra Leone, you get three different institutions. You get Statistics Sierra Leone, where the young business have organized census or different kinds of census and surveys, population surveys, malaria surveys, like you see that, and they check even the health of populations. They can do it. Then you get for election, you get the electoral register when at the NEC or Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. The ID card business, then at the civil registration. So then three institutions here. So now, this year, now we see government try for, say, the one for, and this idea for digitization of all them here, not that way new. All over the world, vital records have been digitized and they computerize them. With computers, all money make sure, say, in record up to date. So it make them easy. In fact, in 2012, I don't explain in certain terms, they say, me now one of the people there, we've been go Belgium for help salon print for first biometric voter ID card, printed by the company Zetis. We're now one of the leading security printing firms. I don't want to talk about it too much today because I want to go through this and try to end this broadcast as quickly as possible. I've been saying at 30 minutes, but now we don't go 1 hour. So another kind of register also, they were the fourth one, I want to add into this list, where they call the professional register. In some countries they get them, some not all countries get them. Professional register, now a database where some government can create again in line with the, as a subset, as a branch of the statistics register, where they talk about the population or census register. A professional register and a register of all the professionals in the country. They can include records of all the bankers, then professionals, accountants, auditors, lawyers, doctors. Now through this way, they can able to know, if you buy like a yellow pages in a way for business people. Now the record, separate record of all professionals, people in the professions, like expert professionals. So the country able to say, okay, this country get more doctors than lawyers. They get more lawyers than they get more nurses than, you don't understand it. So professional, some countries do keep professional registers separate from the national census register, although some they combine and are the same. Professional register can be of different types. You can get a register of just lawyers in the whole country, a register of doctors in the whole country, but not to like one way to talk, say, all like Australian Association of Journalists get all the register of everybody when a journalist will register with them. Whether you register with the bar association or you're a member of a particular professional class, you're part of the professional union or not, As long as you are a member of that profession, you are registered in the professional register. Why are they separated here? And for sure now, why, for raise the question, why and how did the current parliament and politicians in a saloon, both in the opposition and the ruling party, decide for join all and three tier together? The population, the census register, the voter register, and the civil register. Why did they decide to conflate, for bundle all to make a one bundle together? I mean, you guys, if that is the case, if we have a talk say statistics Sierra Leone now, NECO, NACRA, they're all for dismantle, they all I call them now, make one big institution, I call them, say, registration office. But you have three different institutions. One is supposed to organize election. One is supposed to register people for identity, for give the identity papers for identitarian purposes, whether they are national identification or other kinds of identification. And the other one now for count people away in a country and count host them. Now when I start first, when I want to make census, what they do every 5, when I call a midterm census, bang, hala take place. Census, so happy. People then say they no count me, not to trouble, this and that. When I grab and I don't announce number. When I grab back, say when I want for register, everybody for civil register. Next thing I know, some people then turn out for register and able register. Some side register, some side not register, na the NACRA. When I grab parliament, when I want make law, now when I don't say population don't bokuna freedom pass, I mean don't go down a freedom, Kenema and Bo don't get more population pass freedom. Then when I say that number where they don't announce for saying that the population that they want to get for make sure it's reflective in the election. Now if you talk say you get 600,000 people in Africa, $10 reach for vote, you get for register people. If you allow the people and they all can register now, it can be said the one that we qualify for vote no more than past 600,000 in Africa. That means the statistics office don't lie. That means even you, the government, what you make you spend money on that statistics day. So the question we still got to ask with parliamentarians then, with politicians then, opposition party leaders, because they don't talk mumu from where they happen. Because they don't plan bad, the thing don't scatter on their head. They don't know how to handle it. You know, go take 3 different functional operations of 3 different government institutions, you make it into one without a reason, without cause. And meanwhile, all these institutions still stand alone. Statistics they under they get their own trouble first and don't make statistics number. Today we don't know how they can arrive at that figure. Then civil registration, NACRA said in the register count people and then the register everybody for give an NIN, the neighbor do they make small time number, they shut down. Now electoral commission can say they register people there. They say first no, for make we register people and now we got to make sure say anybody who would register, forget NIN number, forget national identification number. Now the national identification number, not a problem, forget national identification, but the institution is not giving numbers. It does not have the capacity to register everyone. Why would I go insist on that one? The way not the part of the law. If I want to make that, I'm going to change the law. Now this is the new say nobody would do that. Because for me organize election, each of these institutions get law we govern there. The NACRA get law we govern there. Statistics get law we they're supposed to follow for do statistics. The electoral commission get a new law. You know, go do any activity we not follow that law there, as provided for in the constitution and the secondary law, the act will show how you for carry on your activities with parliament pass. So what they do? Then sit down quietly, then write law. Lie. Danger. Say now, anybody who they put in the electoral register, for make sure say first, the person name don't they inside the civil register. If the person name not inside the civil register, will not for bring her inside the national register. Basically, the election where they organize now the civil register now for take we carry and go to NEC, make NEC use that civil register for organized election. Anybody where name not there, we know to citizen where name not there, you're not for able for vote. So basically, instead of make electoral commission follow the register where they get update the new register or make a new register, then say then they go borrow, then they go learn NACRA the register for Kauta. And the law not allow that day. The law say NACRA, statistics yanda, electoral commission, you the obaya. Now then one electoral commission, then don't go to Nakra, go learn Nakra, then machine there, learn Nakra, then office chair, the all. If I believe if you check it, even in chair and cable, the all, then we don't go learn all thing. Say the one for use Nakra, the new paper and work for do the new election. That means we for just scrap the electoral commission and allow the MCRA for organize election. I don't know what to say. So, but they know say this, it is not allowed by the constitution. No law not allow that. So what in the beginning make now? No, we they try no more for modernize the system, for make sure anybody who vote supposed to do so. That is what they are trying to do. And because the law not allow that, they want pass law in a parliament for do this. This is why they introduced the public elections bill. So now we find out what the bill will bring and say, look, when a parliamentarian they want to join on with the government for do this criminal business. Parliamentarian they begin cause we and begin vex. From that time, the way APC parliamentarian they vex, but we take now, then they cause we. And then they even tell the people like, made them not pay attention to what they talk. But we are not going to get tired or frustrated by that kind of effort, because we have to point out to the people of Sierra Leone the danger that is ahead of them. We got to tell them, say, this criminal way of running government is not democracy. It's a criminal enterprise. It should not be allowed to continue without being talked about. So now we watch and enable pass the law, which means that join would be one joint statistics now. NCRA and Electoral Commission into one business, one bundle. They not get the law. We allow them to do that. And the parliamentarians tell we. They say, okay, we don't pass the new law now, but we don't pull the NIN, we don't pull all this. Now, the side that we've been talking say, if them pass that law, plenty people within a free term. Within the north and northwest, put local Cambia, Karene, Kamakwe, Falaba, Kabala, Makeni, Maburka, Matutuka, Makali, and Mashimbi. You can take my 91. You work at they take them back free term. That's why I all forget problem for vote. Now they don't get the problem now today for register. But before they get the problem for begin register, now Fed Force now take place now free term. Take place now Makeni other side, and they say protest. They begin kill people, they begin arrest them. Plenty people they arrest and run after them. They hold them. The APC parliamentarian, they know they talk safe. The APC politician, in fact, APC force and party don't scatter force. They not get executive. Now the first time this party get 60 years. The first time where APC they force will enable function. Now 1992, where Mother Bill they overthrow APC, then ban political party activity, suspend the constitution, suspend parliament. APC. Remember, they're all going to hiding. Some of them begin form small party. Then we then say election. So then form PDP and other small party. They made the phrase for call themselves because Mother Bill them been there. Now they fed 1996, 2002, then they begin their life small. 2007 they win election, 15 years. After we then ban APC 1992 coup, 1993, 1994, 1995, and 1996 the APC begin rejuvenate. 1996 to 2007, 96, 2006 to, I think that, was it, when they overthrow, almost 15 years after they overthrow, the APC come back in power. 15 years after military rule, after we Mother Bill displaced APC in 1992, the NPRC, they came back to power 15 years later, in 2007 with Anes Bai Kroma as their president and leader. The only time again now where the APC don't become a dysfunctional political party, now when Mother Bill can have power again, in 2018, the APC started to disintegrate. But this time, not with Soja Mandel, they not use gun and decree for do then do one with APC member in a parliament and other APC member outside of parliament. We then don't take say them go make Mother Bill help them for scatter them party. Yeah, don't do it. You don't use the court. You don't dismantle the entire party. From 2018 to now, as we speak, the APC is just an organization by name. And now 4 years back. And now, then they go into elections, 80% of the side and waiting they do registration. 80% of registration centers who we don't check. If you find APC agent, if you check and good na SLPP posting and then put there and say na APC monitor. When you ask APC 21-man committee right now, true, may then give you breakdown, statistics of voter registration numbers, they don't get that. In fact, many of them self know they follow most of the videos where they come about difficulties now because we program to get videos and when protests and other things happen, you see even the APC people the way they sympathize with APC social media, they were giving live commentaries. That live commentary with the Yaribo Evangelist Samson, within a court, within a APC, you know the area now. There is no actual social media commentary, live commentary of the registration as it is happening. Most of the videos that went out, we go proudly say 80%, 90% of those videos about people in registration centers came out through us, through my own Facebook page and my own effort with our own people who we have on the ground. Because we set up a system through the Right for Justice where we are collecting information, registration center to registration center. In 3-4 days, with the difficulty when they get, the Electoral Commissioner announced they registered nearly 500,000 people. Those 500,000 people who cannot come from North or Western area. But anyway, this is where we are. Now, even without a law, we Parliament tell we say we don't harass it by July 28th. Then talk say they not able pass. They don't pass the law, but the NIN not inside. We all agree say yes, not true. Now registration start on September 3rd. After this protest and violence don't take place, when they harass APC people, they hold them, kill, and APC social media people and they hold them. Then kill Evangelist Samson, when one of the main social media person. The other one they in hiding, afraid. Where registration they start now. Even the Facebook Live they want to see, we will be the SIP and protest and other thing. They will not see AYV, SLBC, all these television stations, radio stations are almost not they are providing zero coverage of the difficulties encountered by Sierra Leonean citizens in the voting. Talk less of the voices. What have you heard from opposition politicians? So the question is, which law will the Electoral Commission rely upon for begin ask people and for NIN, for NACRA, for bring NACRA into the registration process? Unfortunately, I know they take phone call then today. We will do our next time. Today, I just want to do a monologue conversation. And at the watch, una comment them. Yeah, very good comment. Keep your comments coming. Me say they learn from them. If I never read themselves, but I go endeavor for study them later, for inform me better. In the process, I will see if there are. When I continue for share this, I will still endeavor for push this discussion to the next 30 minutes and then sign up because I got to do other thing. Yeah, as I say, I don't show now the difference between the register. So now, what we don't find out now the fact that the members of parliament, we've been telling we say the NIN and NACRA, not for the part of the civil voter registration, we don't find out say that is a lie. So there are two things. They told us the law they passed in parliament on July 27 and 28, where they announced, they say the NIN not a requirement. They don't remove them from the law. Now we don't come for find out, say, the NIN and NACRA, NIN is not just part of what they are requiring people, but also the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone is using the NCRA database as the basis for the electoral registration, which means they are using the civil register as the foundation for the creation of an electoral register. There is no law that allows that kind of conflation, that kind of join. The law not allow that. And if the law not allow that, it means the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone is violating the constitution. Is violating the secondary law where give them the we condition the young operation. They will tell you, say, the ECSL get right for make rules and regulations governing the conduct of elections. Yes. But any rule and regulation developed by the Electoral Commission that contradicts the Constitution and the secondary law is in itself invalid. You're not supposed to operate. Now, it's either the members of parliament then give ECSL the legal right for use NCRA and the NIN as part of the registration requirement and then lie to we the people them, or the ECSL is undertaking voter registration in complete violation of the Constitution and the secondary laws. They know they follow the law. You cannot organize election without reference to law. So if Parliament inside that law would have been passed, then get NCRA inside or NIN, it means parliamentarians actually committed treason because watch them throughout the process. We watch Parliament from the pre-legislative stage on June 20, right up to July 27 and 28, when the debates in Parliament ended. We did not see anything where Parliament told us they amended the constitutional provision. We talk about voter registration requirement. So if NCRA, if ECSL, the Electoral Commission, is now introducing a new requirement and procedure for voter registration, it is either Parliament gave them that legal authority through the Public Elections Act of 2022, or Electoral Commission is conducting registration illegally. And those illegalities include, one, the deliberate reduction in the time required for registration as it used to be, from 1 month to 2 weeks. Second, the rotational form of registration, where one part of the country is being registered, another part of the country. That not ever happened. And that also deals with another question, the access to registration centers. Many people have turned up to register in places where they are not supposed to register because of this confusion. There is no proper voter sensitization and education in the first place. And they will tell you about they procured right now with the type of publish an article. I believe it will come out in the next, from now to tomorrow, this time, we don't get this article out, where we are showing that despite an expenditure of over 8.5 million, nearly $10 million for the procurement of voter registration equipment and software and accessories, we have no evidence that the Electoral Commission actually carried out the procurement. What happened to the money? Because the 2,000 computers that they claim they gave that money for, we don't find out, when I read this, even the $8.5 million, the company that they later supposedly subcontracted for Giden the contract for $2.2 million, we're going to publish this and the documents in the next 24 hours, or within the next 24 hours, as the case may be. So, by right now, at this point, parliamentarians, although they claim that, in fact, what they do not make this danger, then go holiday. Parliament is not going to resume until after the time where registration go done. This tell you then do them on purpose. So, but besides, the law allow Parliament for convene an emergency meeting in this kind of constitutional crisis. There's nothing dangerous than having citizens come out to register. You get state institutions and politicians ganging up to violate people's right to people's constitutional right with institutions there. And you get this complete collective silence of the politicians in the opposition, both in Parliament, outside of Parliament, and stuff like this going on, where the Electoral Commission, the state institution, is flagrantly, openly, and willfully violating the Constitution, organizing elections without reference to law. So if the politicians they don't agree, say, they want Madabio for continue, especially those in Parliament, especially for the case of the APC, it is the parliamentarians who are in charge of the party. The parliamentary leader of the party is in charge of the party. He is in charge of one faction of the party. And that faction has 8 MPs and 4 others. One is a legal representative who comes from the law firm of the parliamentary leader. The other 3 are also representatives representing different segments of the party, the youth and diaspora and other people who are tied to them as well. These people have built a movement within the party that is undermining their own party. And part of it because they want to take over their party. Madabio for help them to take over their party, then allow Madabio for continue second term after we come on. Instead, then they will take charge. Why? This is why your parliamentarians have never raised the issue of corruption in the parliament. They want the own APC politician and company when they compete for leadership, make the COI allegations and they on their head. So they will be called corrupt with the hope that the court and the court process can be used to eliminate them, including their flag bearer, Samura Kamara, and other politicians, and so that they will be getting out of the way. Then you get this default candidate coming from parliament or outside of parliament, so that they go to. When I look at the caretaker executive 21-man committee, there are 2 factions. One controlled by the parliamentary leader, the other one controlled by other opposition leaders who are still hiding behind the scenes. So when you press them no more, you say so, they say, oh, that's Peter Conte, who is not even who has no knowledge, it's just a pawn, like a dice where they play over the scene. If I were to say make this, Mohammed were to say made this audio that's so solid and so, I've listened to it more than 20 times, in which it talks the 21-man committee is controlled by Cherry Coco. The Alpha Peter Conte faction is controlled by Sam Sumana. So every time you push the other one, the parliamentarian and then group led by Abdul Kagbo, they say, oh, the Alpha Peter Conte, push that Alpha Peter Conte and group back saying that this, they've made their party an eclectic, a paralyzed organization. So it cannot function because these 2 individuals hiding behind the scenes have their own flag bearer ambitions. There's nothing wrong in wanting to be president. Come forward and declare yourself. You want to be president. Declare, say, I want to be president, I want to lead my political party. Members in your party who support you. But you cannot pretend you are for the party, working against your party's interests. Why we are concerned about it? Because it's destroying democracy. Now, ordinary citizens who want to register to vote are unable to vote because you don't find out, say, the only way for give Mother be a second time for prevent Sierra Leoneans from voting. So when I don't make fake census data, when I want to use that fake census data for also produce a fake electoral register, when I use the fake electoral register for produce a fake election result, for say Madabi will win. No. If you want to give Madabi a second term without basically an election, when I now say no election, may Madabi continue. After we done in 10 years, we have go can now when I take over. Since you don't thief this thief, and don't kill people, then now when I go allow and you go free. When I say when I count a thief, when I commit my own atrocities, including the one that already commit, when I go free. Because you are lying to the people of Sierra Leone that the international community don't bargain with the TRC and talk say every president we can attend here. That's a lie. The constitution talks say every individual who is voted has a 5-year mandate. After that, we've organized transparent elections. If the person win, he continue. If you not win, he come out. That is the law. In fact, the international community would like to see that happen. Because when leaders and can, they don't say where they're not performing their first time, they can be voted out. The international community knows it will increase and improve the quality of democracy. If America can vote out on Donald Trump after a first term, they can want to see the same kind of situation in Sierra Leone, go want to see the same kind of situation in Ghana, in Liberia, or any other place. That is neoliberal democracy for you. There's no such thing as 10 year. Now, on a crook business, don't make people they believe that are true. It's a lie. So if I want for organize, if I want for agree say that day, when I own democracy in a 10-year mafia game, when I tell the people and say no election, they make Madabio do 10, Etijankaba do 10 year, and Nkrumah do 10 year, Madabio go do 10 year. So after we Madabio come, we say go take over. Then people they know it's in a racket. But you cannot make the people believe you are running a democracy, and then people that want for vote and participate in the democratic process, they will not say they're not for vote. What is wrong with you? Why can't you allow the people the opportunity for participating in an election? What is wrong? I mean, people just want to register. What? Why would I prevent people from register? So you see these videos of young men and women. People they go with them bench there, chair there, and they sit down. Now ground, they say, yeah, would register, yeah, ma. With the mommy there, old mommy there with the umbrella there. We've never seen this in Sierra Leone. People becoming so excited. People they go to line for register. They go into the line for take bulgur supply during wartime. First time. Thanks to technology. Not because there has never been any sensitization by NEC, no sensitization by political parties. All the politicians they see they do most of these people don't want election at the opposition. The best they don't do now for make poster like they like say then a Hollywood or Nollywood like then Nigerian film there. Everybody they print poster, say go register. All man they show say if I'm passing company that them they basically they've become movie actors. So they know they will talk say they're not they're against. We've talked about this. We have even seen or heard about people discouraging diaspora people not to go register. Then they tell them, say, go, you name them a list. I've had a number of people call me, tell me, hey, one go register, but they say we named them a list and they don't mark we face and they arrest we. And most of that lie, that fear is spread by very opposition politicians tied to parliamentarians, tied to hidden flag bearers.
Hidden flag.
So basically, now this I want for say, we get a number of things. When I ask when our opposition people, and why are they silent in the face of the illegalities committed by NEC, Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone? Don't forget the corruption union. We'll talk about that, the procurement, how they award the company, and all of that. But just this is political corruption par excellence. The same from what we scatter these people then with that bill, what we show say they want pass law for do what they do so now. Now the parliamentarian and the APC, for example, they're all vexed by we force. Then begin to make we palaver. We will not get tired to talk about Sierra Leone and what is destroying Sierra Leone. The same way we will not say don't decide to not go tired for do this crook politics. We self don't decide say we don't go tired. We will continue for talker if the worst can to worse. Now, if tomorrow people that wake up and find out say they still get mad at you, not because of they no vote against her or they no one for vote against her, they go don't know now say now who now the parliamentarian then the honorable members of parliament where they lie give and say when elect them where they don't tell them say mother be the bulldozer now all down look at the arrangement the bargain. So tomorrow that way when I want help mother be for get second term so that when I go become president, made them know say now if una snap tomorrow for people make them able to challenge you now. No say una not represent enough una your own selfish ambition una there after. This is not to say there are no genuine opposition people. We know the opposition people they call terrorists, where then they harass, where then they carry on a court, brutalize all the time, drag them like where they work with people all over the place. Now they see them. These are opposition. Any opposition politician that dances, that celebrates, that dines, that has no problem with what is happening now, it's not an opposition politician. Any opposition politician will vex power because we insist on give the people and the right for vote, not opposition politician. The only people that were happy with what's happening so now ruling party members, ruling party supporters, and people that were hide this opposition where they support ruling party. Now the number one what's happen so. Every genuine Sierra Leonean who is fed up with the corruption, with the dictatorship, with the bad government, with all these bad, evil politics that don't happen at the country, especially these 4 years, will not find a problem supporting what we are saying. Any individual that dislikes what we are saying is basically an individual that has agreed to give Madabio a second term, whether they're in the opposition or not. This is the fact. So I want to close.
At this point, I wonder whether you can allow me for coming to your program quickly.
I don't say that's what my program is too tempting. I like that. I'm inside.
Of course, it's very tempting. You get for imagine what you will talk about earlier on, and they talk about the time scale, 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I want for end now safe because I've been planning for do 1 hour 30 minutes. He left 6 minutes.
Okay. So just before you end on CHERNOH, which I'm happy about, because you kept me on the edge, because it's like it's gonna be 30 minutes and 1 hour, and I know say when you did talk, Sierra Leonean people are listening. And even you yourself, you've got teaching moments for the Sierra Leonean people. You've got so much to offer them. So it's in a 30 minutes, no one again, 45 minutes. I mean, as a colleague, a senior brother, a brother, I mean, I can't dispute that, even though I don't agree. But that's what you said. So you see, you keep the go on and the content so material that the number continue for increase. But what I be want to say at this point, because I've been not prepared for the time where you give me, I be want to say that the week where they come, Fambulem, we check no bar in blessing, that the information urgency is so much that instead of we wait for a week for pass before China they come with a regular program frontline, no, this is not going to happen. Sierra Leonean the need for they get the information as when and if it happen. So this week where they come, of course we already get information for una. So me want imbibe to CHERNOH say, please, we get information for tell the salon people even on Monday afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So probably instead of just the show itself where CHERNOH get on the platform, maybe we'll come at least 2 times, if not 3 times, every week. Because the essence of the information now is so critical that we can't avoid for 12 hour, much more 24 hour for go by without we informing Sierra Leonean people. So CHERNOH, and that's what we want to say. And the final one is, of course, you say you want to wrap them up at this point, which is okay by me. And I go let you wrap the program up. But this week where they cancel CHERNOH, do you big? Let we get to the Sierra Leonean people as and when the news they break so that they know exactly what's in there happen.
Yeah, we definitely, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Definitely, we need more conscientization and more discussions. I've been led for open the conversation today, but I promise next week and moving forward, we will collect people their voices. And I do agree, Mr. Kroma, that the conversation need to be continuous as we go into this voter registration process and procedures. I want to remind Fambul and say, not still late for me to get things right, and we are still getting things right. The good thing here, that the fact that through our own help, we don't make sure say Parliament not able to act the way that they act. The situation not go as how the politicians have been try for do. We need more vigilance. We just need to be more determined, more courageous, and relentless. We actions are really bearing fruit. Now there not be one make we see say the registration, there be one pretend the registration to go on well. Now we don't know say the same way we'll make sure say they not pass, then tell we say they not pass the law. We also they make sure say each and every Sierra Leonean will qualify for register, get for register. Now we duty for help everybody for register, put pressure and call una. We'll be share with una members of parliament, then phone numbers. You have to be calling them. Whether una want to do publicly, some of una no go agree publicly to the say. But enough for yourself and remember, in the next 5 years, you're not gonna even guarantee say this policy way they tell you say more help mother you get second way done with your own turn. Which guarantee do you have that mother and a young group of people get for live up to that kind of promise? so the promise is what we have in front of us. The reality is in our hands. We have worked so hard to the displeasure and the dissatisfaction of these corrupt politicians to the extent that now, for the first time, we have an encouraging development. We are old and young people, citizens of Sierra Leone. They're old man, middle, old father, young man there, young woman there, middle-aged people there. Everybody they turn up for vote. We've never seen this kind of enthusiasm. I have never seen it in the last 20 years. And what is most important for me is the fact that these people are not paid. First thing, you give us in 10,000 leones and 1 polo for go register, for go vote. Now people are saying we want vote. We want for vote. People are turning up in queues, in lines, standing all day, every day in the last 4 days, last 7 days. In fact, left with them, they want register. Now, what did they prevent for it? Now, the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, they do all kinds of way for frustrate people who may not register. They drive people, police and other people. Today, when they talk, say, Sierra Leonean, we give them 60,000 euros, 1 bag rest. It don't done. Now they say, not give you money, we just want for register. And when I say nothing, lie, they know the register. So, the politicians, they may feel, say, politicians have taken for granted for so long that they think the Sierra Leoneans are fools. Now, the people, they say, okay, we now wait. We want to teach you a lesson.
Exactly, and
Women now
CHERNOH.
they use soldier man them. When they use violence, when they use guns, they kill people and may not get money for register, steal people and come on. Don't carry
Yeah,
register. Under rain, so the whole umbrella. Sit on the street
exactly,
under sun. Young and old mommy there. You see the video they will post. What does that
exactly,
tell you? Now
exactly.
hand, now small group of people we not feel by one Mondores. Now then don't hold the whole country hostage for 60 years. Now technology, WhatsApp, social media, make we don't talk to them. Everybody's determined to begin to take charge of their own lives and their destiny. Una say that they call the illiterate people there. Now munku they not sabi nothing. Now they want exercise the right. Una the civilized politician there. We say una go school, una na lawyer, una na doctor. Now una feel say una na aristocrat people una get the country, una they prevent them for vote. What a shame to all of you. So I will still encourage the people of Sierra Leone. We've come this far. We've undergone 4 years of hardship, 4 years of pain, 4 years of insult, 4 years of all kinds of terror in the country, corruption, flagrant impunity. You get forced with the cost. You say the barbecue people there, they insult we. You get people there, look, una member what happened at Pademba Road. Una member, una look at George, mercenary. That's where they go, Paulo Conte. They say they don't invite her for car help for roll back Corona. Next thing, they say treason. Next thing, they don't
so
see that.
so
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 you get all
CHERNOH,
these
waiting
atrocities.
in the end, what you be was saying.
So what I
Um,
was saying, Ayana, that each and everybody we don't come up for vote, determine for vote. We go put the necessary pressure from Sierra Leoneans and outside of Sierra Leone, friends of Sierra Leone, talk to them for impress upon this tiny group of politicians the need for respect people and constitutional right. People are not saying
absolutely,
pay them.
absolutely, sir. And we are going to be the point where we want to make CHERNOH. I agree with you 110% if it mathematically possible. And this is a message we are going to be reinforcing beginning this week because there's an essence of time, brother, and I can assure you this. So, in as much this program is fast spent, but beginning this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you're available, because I'm off for the entire 7 days. CHERNOH, are you available? Can we do a program of information just like what you they say so we continue for reinforce the message? Once
Yeah,
I got the green light from you, bam, we are on,
yeah,
brother. The
definitely.
message, communication.
Like
Yeah,
a must. We say we don't
yeah,
sacrifice for your own time now.
yeah.
We this time we spend for talk to Salon people. It's time that we should be spending with family.
Absolutely,
Take
sir.
responsibility. But if see we dey left everything, we dey devote this time, not to say anything, because we realize the urgency of the situation. Our lives now, we don't put our lives in on the front line for some of these. To the annoyance of many people, maybe they call we friends and family. But the interest of the people more paramount. I do not mind risking that. So yeah, for answer your question, we definitely get for do this, and we ask every Sierra Leonean, talk to your family members, talk to your friends, encourage them to register. Make sure say now we have to exercise. We say go do whatever, or every friend that we have, every little connection that we have, wherever our voice or our connection matters, we go make sure say we impress upon the need for the politicians to respect people and constitutional right. That is what we will struggle for and push for. So I want to thank Kuna very much. This program is going to end now, and please share it to other people who are unfortunate to listen. I thank you for this time. We no go tire for continue for talk to Una. We will continue for encourage Una. Regardless of the challenges, we are winning. We are winning. We are winning this struggle. We are winning this campaign. And part of the thing, we stop the parliamentarian from passing a law. They don't decide to say, make NEC go ahead illegally for introduce NIN and this. That can be overcome. We go make sure that each and every qualified Sierra Leonean is allowed to vote. If they not if they know our election, may they tell us know our election. Then we know say the government of just a criminal organization we get the power. But we have to ensure that people are register and vote. So thank you very
Okay.
much, and see you next time.
Okay.
Goodbye. I salute you now all. This is the Frontline Show. Next week we will continue again.
CHERNOH, can I just extend my thanks and gratitude to you? And I'm sure there are millions of Sierra Leoneans, not thousands, millions of Sierra Leoneans who appreciate you. And many thanks, brother. And God richly bless you. And obviously, we'll get in touch again. Sierra Leonean people, of course, CHERNOH is show now weekly. So we'd expect her next week. But I don't mean say I can't talk to you in this week for come. It will be on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so keep tuned. The Warise, Mohammed Warise program in Epic program, in Maiden program, na tomorrow Sunday, so keep tuned. Chernoh, many, many thanks, brother. Much respect, and we'll catch up soon.
The light is set here anyway. Alright, try it. Perfect.